Sometimes good advice can be bad advice. Sometimes it can be toxic. In our first story today, OP offers some good advice to their friends, and it is not well received. Tell me what you think about this one today. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn at the barbie, and get ready for some spicy fights. Oh my god. Let's go. Am I the a-hole for telling someone that their own choices are what make them miserable? So recently, I, 26 female, went out with 3 older ladies. They all began complaining over mimosas about how much the Rona has caused them to gain weight. They don't like their bodies anymore. This led to everyone feels this way talks, and I chimed in that that wasn't true. I haven't gained weight and I'm not miserable. They then started talking about how they don't know how I did it, staying in shape, and then started talking about how they just fell into laying around the couch all day drinking and ordering food. Now, I know that body types are different. I'm not in perfect shape myself, and that everyone was affected differently by the issues from last and this year. But I felt like I was stuck at a pity party of woe is me. So I suggested that we start taking a fitness class together, or even just walks through a park if some didn't want to or couldn't pay for a class. This was met with excuses about not having time, etc., and then back to complaining. So I told them, hey, if you guys want to complain, that's fine. I'm not into that, so I'm going to leave. Cue complaints about how judgmental I was being, and comments about how I must not have anything to complain about. Here is where I think I might be the a-hole. I replied that of course I have things to complain about, but rather than feeding into my own issues, I'm working to make things better. I added that if they were upset about their bodies, they could be making positive goals for themselves instead of wallowing in self-pity. And I would love to help them with some positive goals, but I wasn't going to sit and listen to all the negatives that I disagreed with. To be honest, it hurts me to hear my friends talk about themselves this way, and it feeds into a mindset, even in myself, that I disapprove of. They felt I was being judgmental, and I disagree. I removed myself from what I felt was a toxic environment. I offered an alternative that honestly sounds like fun to me, and I felt they kept harping on about their body image issues. Had they changed the subject, I would have dropped it. Also, for clarity, positive change can be exercise, but isn't limited to that. Their comments were mostly about weight and diet. Seeking a therapist, joining a support group, changing diet, heck, even getting 15 minutes of sunshine a day would probably help most people have a better outlook. I know that you're trying to do something good, but really, you're out to mimosas with the girls. It's not uncommon that people commiserate together. I feel like that's a normal part of human relationships. Now, sometimes that commiserating does end up in the lobsters in a bucket and we keep pulling each other down. That absolutely happens. I'm not promoting that one. But sometimes there is just nothing better than finding another person struggling with the same plight and just washing it down over brunch or something, right? When you're too far up your own asshole trying to sniff out the positive vibes, it's actually called toxic positivity, OP. So your desire to only embrace the good in life makes others feel less than. The antidote to negativity is genuine human connection. There has been a situation like this come up not too long ago, and I kind of felt bad reading something because this feels like a copy-paste of it. But really, I don't think you pushing your agenda in this situation, which is what it would be read as, even though that's probably not your intention. I'm picking up that it wasn't welcome, you're picking up that it wasn't welcome, so you removed yourself from the situation. They didn't attack you or anything, they didn't actually do anything against you here, they just didn't want to go work out with you and eat healthier. That's all well and good, they're free to do whatever they want. You're the one that caused a fuss here, so I'm gonna say you're the a-hole. Now in the comments, Jeepers Creepers 74 says, you're the a-hole. Don't get me wrong, your position and reasoning is all spot on, but this was a clear case of read the room. Your friends were just enjoying a bit of mimosa-fueled commiseration, and this is healthy in moderation because it makes us realize we are not alone in our struggles. It may have been a pity party, but you were the party pooper. Save your fitness suggestions and self-improvement tips for a different time, and they will probably be more welcomed. Single File says, you're the a-hole for being condescending and preachy. No one needs you to save them from themselves, and you deciding to leave because they won't change the subject to something you want to talk about is very self-centered. Do you usually make other people's problems about yourself? And ZeusMum1031 says, "You're the a-hole and you know it. Of course I have things to complain about, but rather than blah 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 blah, those are a holier-than-thou start of judgment forthcoming strand of words." Yep. OP should look up the definition of toxic positivity before she pops out about how toxic her friend group supposedly is. Insisting that everyone share her rainbows and unicorns approach to life in the midst of a global pandemic feels equally toxic, particularly if the audience in question struggles with depression and/or anxiety. Like, it's great if that is what works for you, OP, but other people cope through venting, sharing common struggles, and being kind to themselves by acknowledging their limitations and not setting impossible expectations to meet. You seem to think your coping skills are inherently superior and equally applicable to all people and situations when they just aren't. Our next post is by user DullDepartment9358, titled, "Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter go on vacation with my son and his wife?" So last year, my son, 33 male, lost his daughter, 13 female. I, 55 female, don't want to post details, but it was a very traumatic, surprising event, and we're all still struggling to cope with it, particularly my son, his wife, and their son, 3 male. I also have a daughter who we'll call H to avoid confusion. She's around my granddaughter's age, about a year younger, so she's 13 now and will be 14 in a few months. Before my granddaughter passed away, she was very involved with her little brother, and she used to spend a lot of time with him because both my son and his wife worked from home. Childcare has been incredibly hard for them since their son was acting out with babysitters, and they were struggling to keep an eye on him themselves while they both worked. A few months ago, my son approached and asked if H was interested in babysitting since my grandson knows her and they get along well. H had been looking for a way to make extra money, so she started going over there after school a couple days a week and spending Saturdays at their house. She's become extremely close to them lately and is now going over there most days during the week. She even gave my daughter-in-law a Mother's Day card since it was her first Mother's Day without her daughter. I'm starting to get concerned that H is spending too much time over there and working too hard. She's never been very socially active, but this year especially, she hasn't been making time for her friends or social activities, and she never seems to do anything for herself. I was hoping that H would get a break this summer since my brother and his family were planning to get away and go stay at my brother's cabin for a few months. However, last week, my son asked me if I'd let H go with them. He said he thought that she'd enjoy it, and he wanted to do her a favor after she'd helped them out so much. H overheard and was super excited, but after some consideration, I said that I'd appreciated his offer, but I thought it would be better for H to spend some time at home this summer. He seemed pretty upset, but he said okay. This week, H only went over there twice, and she's been complaining and begging me to change my mind about the vacation. She said I really hurt my son's feelings, and she'll miss spending time with them if they leave for 3 months. I think H is feeling a lot of pressure because they're still grieving over their daughter, and I want her to have some time away from them to be her own person. Am I the a-hole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. My son and daughter-in-law are still grieving over their daughter, and I don't want to cause them extra stress. Look, you're obviously very experienced in this lifetime. You know your daughter better than us. It's obvious that these people are still coping with the loss of their daughter, with that sudden and tragic event that must be goddamn hard to process and deal with. But yeah, you're seeing the effects it's having on your daughter socially and how she's withdrawing a lot and she's not having time to herself. That's not particularly parentification there because she is being paid to babysit. And it is somewhat of a symbiotic relationship where she's getting a lot out of it and so are they. So I don't see anything particularly wrong with that, but it does seem to be getting to a point where it's like, when is this going to end? This seems like a lot. And I imagine if your daughter was friends with your granddaughter, which you're saying that she had a great relationship with your grandson, so I find it hard to believe she didn't, She may be doing this as a coping mechanism also, and it feels like this is starting to breach into unhealthy territory, where I as a parent would be like, okay, you're gonna take some time off. Your identity isn't completely babysitting this child and, hanging out with them all the time. You need to be your own person. Go hang out with your own friends. The more I read this, the more concerned I became, so I feel for you there, OP. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole on this one. I think you're making the right call here. Now in the comments, Equivalent Collar 59 says, no a-holes here. I do think that some space would do them good though, because you don't want to risk them using your daughter to fill the hole that your granddaughter left. In no way am I saying they would do this intentionally. Sometimes you have to be the bad guy to do what's best for your child. No a-holes here. Your son and his family are probably taking great comfort from having your daughter around, and probably also appreciate the help with their son. You are concerned that your daughter isn't growing socially as a result of this situation, so you've made a solid parental decision to give her a break. Your son and his wife need to figure out how to be a family with their son, without a teen girl present, as sad as that is for everyone. It's okay that your daughter is upset by your decision. It's okay that your son is upset about it too. It's okay that you maybe feel guilty for setting a boundary, but no one here is the a-hole. Info. Is the concern here that you think they're not grieving in a healthy way? That H has become a surrogate? What do you mean she's working too hard? Is it possible for her to go for a short duration, like a week? What were your plans for her summer? Just hang out at home and around the neighborhood? And OP replies, a little bit of both. I'm afraid the whole situation is putting too much pressure on her since she was friendly with my granddaughter and knows how much she meant to them. I think she might be trying to fill in for her. I just want her to have some time off this summer and be able to try some new things on her own. It wouldn't be very practical for her to only spend a week there. My brother's cabin is only about a 2-day drive from where we live, and I can't afford a plane ticket right now. My son would probably pay for her to come, but I don't want him to waste his money on a short trip, and I also don't want her to be traveling alone. So you're absolutely correct. This level of enmeshment will be detrimental to your daughter and grandson. The parents need to develop better coping mechanisms for their grief. I was going to call out this slippery slope into enmeshment, and I'm happy I saw it mentioned already. Their loss is immeasurable, but it's good for your daughter to take time away. And Octopi High comes in with a spicy one and says, you're the a-hole. It sounds like you're trying to have H do what you want or expect her to do, rather than listening to what she actually wants. She may find things interesting or fun that you don't think would be to a 13-year-old. Not every child has to be super socially active, or will benefit from that. Her relationship with them doesn't sound unhealthy at all, and it does seem cruel to keep her from going on vacation when she's obviously so excited about it. And our next post is by user KeySyrup3139, titled, Am I the a-hole for closing someone in who keeps parking in my spot until the tow truck came? So at my apartment complex, this one car kept parking in my spot. I've left notes and complained to management that it's happened 3 times now. When I first complained, the management asked me if I wanted them to call a tow truck. I said no at first because I was hoping they could warn this person and then the behavior would stop. They said they would talk to the vehicle owner. However, it happened again yesterday, and I called them again and said to get the tow truck. They informed me they would be there in about 30 minutes. So I parked my vehicle behind the car because I didn't want them getting away, as they've done this multiple times and had multiple chances to stop. They came out about 20 minutes later, asking me to move. I told them I would move once the tow truck arrived. They've had multiple chances to stop parking in my spot. Of course, they weren't happy. They were cussing, etc., and telling me they were only parking for a short period of time and a whole plethora of excuses. So I got my car and waited for the tow truck to arrive. I explained to the tow truck driver this has happened multiple times before I brought them in, and explained I parked behind them to wait for the truck to arrive. I moved out of the way. The tow truck pulled the person and told them they'll either tow it or they can pay the fine, which was a couple $100 on the spot, to the tow truck driver, and he wouldn't tow. The person had to pay the fine to the tow truck guy and they were on their way. Am I the a-hole? I'm confused why you're even asking this question. It's obvious that these people sucked and they got what they deserved. Then they tried to give you a plethora of excuses, as you said. They're only parking for a short time. That's a big lie. It's obvious that your car park is yours because it has your number on it and they know they shouldn't be there in the first place. And this is a repeated behavior, obviously. You were nipping it in the bud, you're not actually causing any damage besides them financially, which they deserve. So I see no reason that you would suck in this situation. Oh no, someone broke the rules and they're getting punished for it? Shit, this might be my fault. No, not the a-hole OP. Now in the comments, Westgate says, not the a-hole at all. But if you can, I'd put a surveillance camera on my car. Don't be surprised if your tires get slashed or your paint job gets ruined by a key. I feel like this is one of those situations where we think we're doing the right thing and it feels good getting even, but as soon as it's done, we regret it because now we have to look over our shoulder. I've got a feeling that OP is going to randomly return to a messed up car. Yep, he absolutely did the right thing. But the person who paid for his crime is probably the very sort of person who will seek revenge. I'm surprised people actually believe this happened. I work with parking enforcement, and in most cases, a tow truck driver can't just show up and enforce a fine, or what is referred to as a drop fee, without actually hooking up the vehicle. OP blocking the person in the parking spot while they wait for a tow is also illegal, and unnecessarily extending the engagement could have turned into a safety risk. Kudos to those you know being legit, but in some places, like my city, tow companies just got in trouble for moving legally parked cars to illegal spots, taking a photo, then towing the car to their lot. There are some shady AF tow folks out there. I really like that top Am I the A-hole post where the dude's girlfriend had his project car towed to a junkyard and the employees were in the midst of trying to hide it when the cops showed up. Good stuff. Money is money, and some people are willing to do whatever it takes. Kfnup says, not the a-hole. But you should be careful escalating confrontations in the future because some people have a tendency to get physically violent in situations like that. Especially if they know where you live and park your car. But who needs to get violent? They know where the car is kept overnight and tipping a bottle of brake fluid over your car will remove paint. How do you know this? I'm a paint sprayer and did my apprenticeship in a body shop. Seen a few cars with this done. The guy had to learn his lesson. However, arguments are dangerous these days with all of the rage-induced shootings. Maybe try to get a tow truck there without engaging them directly. And OP replies, I called management, I didn't engage directly until they came out while I was waiting for the tow truck. Had the tow truck arrived before the car owner, no interaction would have taken place. My advice is get a dash cam or a camera pointed at the car because people who act like that will mess up your car. And Neuroscience says, everyone sucks here. The other guy for obvious reasons, but purposely blocking him in until the tow truck gets there is definitely an a-hole move, if not completely illegal. If the tow truck takes 30 minutes to get there and he escapes during that time, then he just won that round. He won't always get away with it if you continue to call in the tow truck when he takes your space. I would also definitely avoid being around your spot next time. By blocking him in, you just gave him some warning that there was something going on. And by being there in person, you risk taking the brunt of whatever reaction he has, and given he's an a-hole to start with, swinging at you is quite a real worry. Yeah, I think we can all agree that continually taking someone's spot is a dick move, but escalating to blocking that person in, depriving them of access to their property, and ensuring that they get dinged for hundreds of dollars is disproportionate. It had only happened twice before, and OP never even had a direct conversation with them. I doubt management ever actually talked to the other driver. Everyone sucks here in a big way. Wasn't the parker also depriving the spot owner of their property? Parking spaces usually cost money and aren't cheap. Not voting one way or the other, but I think that should be taken into account. Edit. Spot owner has to wait for a legal parker to leave in order to park their car, but a legal parker should be entitled to immediate access to their car to come and go as they please? I think a 10-minute wait is pretty even. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Friendly reminder that I'm now posting daily on my second channel, Markee 2. If you want to laugh at memes with me, link is down in the description below. On phone, you just click that little arrow underneath the video. I also want to say thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your names are currently floating down the screen here, and I love to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you see yourself on screen, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back for being amazing as always, and thank you for supporting me again. I do hope that you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever it is you're up to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.